I've got your energy stories for the fourth week of March 2025. And in the first one, California-based battery swap startup Ample is planning to build a network of stations in Tokyo, each of which can support charging over 100 electric Mitsubishi Fuso delivery trucks. Ample began operating battery swapping stations in Kyoto early last year and uses its own nickel manganese cobalt battery modules, and it's designing battery packs as drop-in replacements. Also in the swapping space, Chinese global battery giant CATL, and automaker NIO will launch what they claim is the world's largest EV battery swapping network and begin coordination in developing battery swapping stations. NIO will use CATL's technical standards in its Firefly brand, and both entities will work to develop a national swapping standard. NIO now says it has over 3,100 swapping stations in China, and Volvo and Polestar will be using NIO's technology on a limited basis. Here's the rub, though. What if we can start charging batteries more quickly in non-swapping situations? Well, Chinese EV maker BYD now says it has an EV platform that will enable drivers to charge as fast as drivers refueling gas-powered vehicles. Its Super E platform uses flash charging batteries and new silicon carbide power chips that can charge vehicles at a rate of 1 megawatt, which gets you to well over 1 mile per second of charging. So you can get 250 miles of range in about 5 minutes. I'm just going to editorialize here for a minute. One hears all the time from critics of EVs that they don't stack up to ICEs in one area or another. They can't do this or they can't do that. What these critics all fail to miss is one simple fact. They're right about today's technology, but not about tomorrow's. Critics simply fail to appreciate the inevitable evolutionary dynamic of a technology or combination of technologies with so many near-term technical breakthroughs that are soon to be solved. If you throw tens of billions of dollars and thousands of material scientists at problems that you are pretty sure will be solved, many of them eventually will be. So expect, for example, solid-state batteries with far longer ranges, more efficient heating and cooling technologies, and better charging solutions in the very near future. At this point, you couldn't stop those advances if you tried. So as we hand the future of transportation to China, don't say we didn't know any better. We simply didn't try hard enough, and many of us let our ideological positions get in the way. Now, to get off that soapbox, Itron is collaborating with AI chipmaker NVIDIA to accelerate adoption of AI tech at the grid edge. The goal is to combine Itron's 13 plus million distributed intelligence-enabled endpoints with NVIDIA's AI tech to create a new level of distributed situational awareness. This type of AI-enabled approach should help utilities better deal with operational efficiencies and with better localized demand forecasts that will help reduce transformer overloads. It will also help optimize solutions for grid resilience and disaster management. In theory, now we'll see how that announcement rolls out in the real world. In California, regulators have okayed new standards for maintaining and operating batteries that will include a requirement for emergency response and action plans. This after the fire at Vistra's huge Moss Landing battery, not the first fire either. California's installed battery capacity now represents over 20% of the state's peak demand, so they had to do something. The Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, MISO, is taking a page out of PJM's playbook, in which PJM recently sought approval from the FERC to allow 50 shovel-ready projects that would improve system reliability to jump the interconnection queue line. MISO is asking the FERC to approve an expedited resource addition study, ERAS, process that would speed up its interconnection approach for assets that can, quote, address urgent resource adequacy and reliability needs in the near term. So think dispatchability. In many cases, that likely means gas. In its December reliability assessment, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC, identified MISO as being most at risk of capacity shortfalls in the very near term. MISO wants ERAS to come into effect by mid-May, with designated projects to be offered an expedited generator interconnection agreement within 90 days. The MISO queue is kind of a mess right now, with over 1,600 projects totaling 123,000 megawatts of capacity, the majority of which is likely to be withdrawn before commercial service. Well, while the hydrogen train has slowed down considerably, not everybody's jumped off. RWE and Total Energies just signed a 15-year green hydrogen agreement that will see RWE's forthcoming 300 megawatt electrolyzer plant in Niedersachsen, Germany, to supply Total Energies refinery in Saxony-Anhalt with 30,000 metric tons of green hydrogen a year. This is the biggest long-term green hydrogen agreement signed in Germany to date. The electrolyzer technology to be utilized was not specified. Well, after voluntary carbon markets have been rocked by scandals in recent years, Amazon is unveiling a carbon credit service that it says adheres to the most rigorous standards and looks to restore trust in the voluntary carbon market. This should help companies in its value chain better manage their carbon exposure. The service will use the ART TREES standard for deforestation emissions verification and the Abacus label for its reforestation projects. Independent verifiers will ensure the legitimacy of the credits created through carbon removal technologies. In order to play, Amazon requires participants to have net zero emissions by 2050 targets for both direct and indirect emissions from purchased electricity and other sources. Companies must also measure and publicly report their emissions and commit to ongoing decarbonization strategies based on the latest climate science. And finally, Skytree and Return Carbon, in partnership with Verified Carbon, are working with EDF Renewables North America to develop a direct air capture facility in Texas. The aim is to capture 500,000 tons per year of negative emissions and store carbon along the Gulf Coast. Skytree's direct air capture technology will be tied to a behind-the-meter but grid-connected EDF wind farm. Return Carbon will bring capital to the game, while Verified Carbon will be responsible for the sequestration, and EDF, of course, will bring that power. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.